Ayush, thank you so much for joining us today amongst your very busy schedule. Being a working professional is always hard to find time. So can you please introduce yourself to the audience today?
Sure. Thank you, Vishnu, for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. Hi, friends. My name is Ayush Malhotra. I completed my mechanical engineering from DCE in 2013. In my final year, I took GATE exam, that is Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. And with that score, I got recruited in NTPC Limited. So I've been working in NTPC for the last 3 years and 2 months. And my 2-year-long project in NTPC is about to over now. And thus, I think it is the right time for me to pursue an MBA. I like listening to music and especially to Sonu Nigam because he is my favorite singer. And I like watching Discovery Channel shows on space and universe, like Through the Wormholes and NASA's Unexplained Mysteries. So I'm looking forward to this webinar, and I hope you all find it useful and it helps you in some way in preparing for GRE.
But before we quickly jump to the GRE preparation, I have just 2 questions for our guest today. Most importantly, what is your primary motivation that pushed you towards an MBA course, Ayush?
Okay. Actually, Vishnu, in PSUs, like I'm in NTPC, and NTPC is in PSU. Initially, you get to learn a lot about the whole industry, the processes, and the business management. But as the time passes, the growth rate slows down, and you get confined to one area. Now, to expand my domain and knowledge, I think that MBA becomes an imperative for me, because this particular desire to learn more and to make more challenging role actually motivates me. And moreover, with mechanical engineering background and the work experience in the project management, MBA is the best option for me as it complements my interest as well as my experience and academic background.
What made you take the decision of going for a GRE rather than GMAT?
Exactly. In fact, I didn't know about GRE, that all the MBA colleges in the world except GRE also. This is when I attended the seminar, ISB seminar, and I got to know that it is ISB started accepting GRE from this year. So that is when I thought that I should take a GRE exam rather than GMAT. And moreover, my sister has already taken the GRE exam last year, so I was pretty much familiar with the format, the quant and the verbal section. And I would advise that look at your strength. Like GMAT is more about critical reasoning and verbal reasoning, and GRE is partly based on vocabulary. You can solve 50% of the GRE questions if your vocabulary is strong. So develop a good lexicon. So if your vocab is strong, all the sentence equivalents and the text completion questions can be answered very easily.
Can you just give us a rough timeline on when did you actually think about GRE and how did you go about it, and when GRE date, and what is the score improvement that you got over your initial phase and the final phase?
Okay, so I decided that I'll be taking GRE. That was, I guess, 21st of August. So on that 21st of August, this 2016, I decided I'll be taking GRE. So, and I wanted to take it very soon because the application deadlines end in October. The first application deadline, round 1, ends in October.
Exactly.
So, I thought of taking a coaching. So I joined GRE Edge. So my SFAs called and asked me to fill a questionnaire. So based on my answers and my goal in GRE, that is my target score in GRE, they immediately came up with my study plan. So they made this 25-day study plan because my exam was on 18th of September. And before that, I took a GRE diagnostic test and got 319 in that. So 319 in that. I guess 166 in quant and 152 in verbal. So 152 in verbal was a little less. And I knew that I could improve on quants also because it is gettable. 170 is very much gettable in GRE. So I think every one of us can do it. And then I rigorously followed that study plan. Because I would advise all of you to give importance to the study plan as it makes us more disciplined towards our preparation. And give all the practice tests, essential and advanced practice tests, this GRES practice test, style test and full test. Don't miss AWS section. Develop this habit of sitting it for 4 hours because GRE exam is a long test. And keep on revising your words weekly. I guess weekly revise your words, read editorials, and in 25 days, it means that you need to spend more hours. At least spend 6 to 7 hours. At least 6 to 7 hours if you want to crack it in 25 days. Yeah.
A proper reading of newspapers and a rigorous follow of a study plan that is very concretely designed to get your target score is very important. That's a takeaway from so far from this seminar. But moving on, one most important point I want to show outside here is that you've scored a perfect 170 in quant. I mean, 117 quant is an incredible feat. Almost, I've always mentioned in my seminars that only 3% of the entire audience, the entire jury test takers in India, score a perfect 170, right? And you're one of those. You're automatically getting that benchmark, and you comes to your application profile going for universities, right? So, can you tell us a little about what all you did for quant preparations?
Okay. So like most of us, most of the attendees are from engineering backgrounds, so they must be good at quants. But for 170, you will just need to hone your skills. So I'll be discussing with some of my techniques that I use in the exams in the subsequent this seminar, seminars further.
Okay.
So I'll be sharing some techniques, and you have to save the time. That's 35 minutes for 20 questions. If you can do all the questions in 20 minutes, then you get 15 minutes to revise your section. And that is what I did. I completed my first quant section in 20 minutes, and revised all of the questions in 15 minutes, and the second quant section in 25 minutes. So I got 10 minutes to revise that section. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll be sharing some techniques. Yeah.
All right. Like you mentioned, you're going to share some techniques right now with the audience. So guys, are you ready to solve some quick question and learn some technique from today's seminar? So this is the question that we're going to use learn the technique from. Are you guys able to see this question in the chat box? Like, sorry, in the screen right now. All right, I think a lot of yep coming in. Can you quickly solve this question and tell us what could be the answer? Once we have so Ayush, we just asked them to solve the question. Once they solve the question, you could share their technique, your technique on how you went about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can just go ahead and explain the solution right now.
Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty happy that most of the students said 5 and 7, and they quickly eliminated the two options, 12 and 15, I guess. So, like, you can see that 8 people speak Spanish. Now, for everyone to speak, for the maximum students to speak all the languages, the number cannot be greater than 8, because 8 speak Spanish, so only 8 can speak French and English also. So, it cannot be greater than 8. So, you can quickly eliminate 15 and 12. So, even if you don't know how to proceed, you can still get down to 2 options, that is 7 and 5. Now, if you even make a guess out of it, for 50% chances is that you will be correct. So in this way, you can get down to 2 options. You can really eliminate the options in maths as well. Elimination technique is we use in English, in RCN passages, and you can very well use in maths also. Now, the way to solve this question is with the help of equations. You can solve with the help of equations like this. Like, make a Venn diagram for English, Spanish, and French, and mark these areas as A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now, what does A represent? A represents those people who speak only English. B represents those people who speak only Spanish. C only French. Now, D is who speak both English and Spanish, but not French. E speaks only English and French, but not Spanish. And G speak all the 3 languages. Now, what is given in the question? It is given that the universal set is 25, right? That means A plus B plus C plus D plus E plus F plus G is 25. We got this from the question. And it is further given that the number of people who speak English, that is 12. So it includes those people who speak English as well as Spanish. It also includes those people who speak English, Spanish as well as French, right? So the next equation we get is A plus D plus E plus G is 12. Same way for Spanish, D plus B plus G plus F 8, C plus E plus G plus F 15 for French. Now add these equations 1, 2, and 3. Can we switch to the next slide?
Yeah.
Now adding these 2 equations, what we get is A plus B plus C plus 2D plus 2E plus 2EF plus 2, 3G is equal to 35, right? Now what was A? A was, we can substitute A in B, and we get that 2G is equal to 10 minus D plus F plus E. And we want to find the maximum value of G, the persons who can speak all the 3 languages. And what we have got down to 10 minus D plus F plus E upon 2 is equal to G.
Okay.
That shows that G cannot be can be maximum only when D plus E plus F is equal to 0. So G is equal to 5 minus D plus F plus E by 2. In the next slide we'll see. So in that way we can get G is equal to 5. So this whole procedure can take at least 2 to 3 minutes, right? If not less. 3 minutes I'm telling the minimum, because you have to solve the equations also. Now when you have eliminated the 2 options, you can quickly take one of the options and solve this. Make the Venn diagram, put G is equal to 7 in it. Right? Can we switch to the next slide?
Yeah.
Yes. Now what you can do is quickly take one of the options. Suppose you are thinking that the option is 5. So now put 5 in G. So in the place of G you can put 5. Now this total universe set has to be 25. So what I have done is I quickly made D, E and F 0, and to get the sum of English to be 12, I wrote down 7 here. For Spanish it was 8, so I wrote 3, and for French it was 15, I wrote 10. And now when added all of this, it gave me 25. So that means 25, 5 is the right answer. When you do this process for the 7, you won't get 25 in total. So you don't need to solve the questions just by logic or just by common sense. You can get the answer in like 1 minute, approximately in 1 minute. So you have quickly eliminated 2 options, solve this Venn diagrams, and you get the answer.
Basically, the point is, guys, I think a lot of people have already got it. Shubham says very useful. The idea is, whenever you look at a maths equation, maths question, it's not just about finding the formula. Okay, I have to use this formula to get this answer. It's about a little more being logical about it and understanding that the very first go, as he mentioned, that the number can't be above 8. It's as simple as that, right? Because there are only 7 maximum people there, so that can't be above 8. So it's below that. Based on this, then it's about, it's called plug-in and approach method. Now the next question is on our screen right now. So Ayush, this is the question, am I right?
Second question, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, this is the question on your screen. Are you guys able to see the question as well? Pratak Sabak says yes, Kavin says yes. Just read through this question and tell me, what do you think is the right answer for this particular question? In the figure, F is the midpoint of side CA, BD is equal to MAB, and D is parallel to AC. Compare the area of triangle ABB and triangle FBC in a ratio. You guys go ahead, take an attempt and tell what do you think is the right answer in this particular question. I want you guys to be very, very interactive. Can you quickly ask our guest to review the solution right now? We're already halfway past the seminar. All right, the technique. Can you go ahead and share the technique with us today, Ayush?
I sure that this technique will be more useful than the previous one. And it will save a hell lot of time. This is a tough question, and it can take more than 5 minutes if you solve it through the actual method. Like it needs some construction also to get the areas out of it. Now, can you switch on to the previous slide? Can you go to the previous slide?
Previous slide, okay.
Yeah. See, the question says that F is the midpoint of CA, and BD is equal to M of AB. Now here it is not given which type of triangle it is. Is it an equilateral triangle? Is it an isosceles triangle or a scalene triangle? Now this is the general triangle, and if the conditions given in the case of general triangle is valid, then it is also valid for the case of equilateral triangle, isn't it? It is valid for the general triangle. It will also be valid for the equilateral triangle. So I'll make my life easier by assuming it to be an equilateral triangle, and then it is given BD is equal to M of AB. BD is equal to M of AB. So I'll take M to be half. That means I will take D to be the midpoint of AB. So now what I have got is, I have got ABC as an equilateral triangle. BF is already given a median. I have made D to be the midpoint, and E will also be automatically be the midpoint then, because D is parallel to AC. Now D is the midpoint, so E will also be the midpoint. So that will give me AE to be the median, right? Now what I've got is BF is a median, AE is the median, and ABC is an equilateral triangle, and D is also the midpoint. Now we can proceed to the next slide. Assume whatever length you want to assume. So AC, I have assumed AC to be 4 cm long. Now it gives me AF to be 2 cm, FCB 2, B2, EC2, AD2, DB2, right? Now just quickly we'll see what 2 triangles we have to get. That is triangle ABE and BFC. Right, we have to prove those to be. We have to get the areas of these 2 triangles. Now AB is 4 cm, and in triangle BFC, BC is 4 cm. In triangle AB, B is 2 cm, and FC is 2 cm. And AF and AE and BF are the medians, and medians of an equilateral triangle are equal. That means these 2 triangles are congruent, and if these 2 triangles are congruent, that means their areas will be equal. So what will be the ratio of these areas? That will be 1:1. Now substitute M in all the options. You will get only B to be the correct answer. If B is, what was B? B option was, in the last slide, 2M is to 1. B is 2m is to 1. Put m to be half. 2 into half is equal to 1. So 1 is to 1. Is done. It is done in 30 or 40 seconds. What you have to do, you have to assume the equilateral triangle, give m to be half, solve the answers. It's okay. Now you won't have to draw any altitudes. You have to don't make any construction in the triangle. So it is done.
But next question is on your screen right now. This is the question. Am I right, Ayush?
Yes, but before proceeding to this question, I would just like to repeat once again that
Okay.
if there is a triangle given in the question and it is not an isosceles triangle, assume it to be an equilateral triangle. It will make your life simpler. So if there is a question of out of the triangles, assume it to be an equilateral triangle and then try to do the question. See if it is, see if assumptions are valid for this question and then proceed. Now we can go with this question.
Technically, on that basis, it's not an assumption. Basically, it's just the implication based on the given properties. Am I right? What is the solution for this particular question, Ayush? Can you share the solution right now? Can you explain your concept?
Yes, actually, there are two ways to go through this question. First one is to write down the equations like finding the slope of the slope is easily given. It's 3 here. Y is equal to mx plus c is the equation of line. Now m is equal to 3 here. So that means the slope of the equation is 3. Now they are asking two things. The column A shows a line which is parallel to the given line. That means that line will also have a slope 3, and in the other column they are giving a line which is perpendicular to the AB. That means the slope of that line is minus 1 by 3. Now you can find the equations and solve them and get the answer out of it, but it will take some time. Now even if you don't know the slope and you just know that the lines are parallel and lines are perpendicular, you can solve the question just by drawing the lines. So can we proceed to the next slide?
Yes. Let me just
see what you did. The red line is the given line here. Y is equal to 3x minus 5. Draw this red line because when x is equal to 0, y is minus 5, and when y is equal to 0, x is 5 by 3. So you can easily draw the red line. Now in the column they are drawing a parallel line to it, which passes through 2, 3. So this parallel line will be the yellow line. Even if you have a rough idea, you can draw this parallel line, right? And perpendicular line also passes through the point 2, 3, which is the green line. Now you notice the x-intercepts of these two lines. Yellow line has an x-intercept which is less than 5 by 3, and green line has the x-intercept which is greater than 5 by 3. So you don't need to find the x-intercept, that it's 1 or it's 11. You don't need to find it. Just draw the diagram and you can reach to the conclusion that x-intercept of second line is greater than the x-intercept of the parallel line. So column B is greater than column A, and you get the answer. Like in the right hand side of this slide, this solution is given by solving the equations, right? So they are finding the equations, they are finding the x-intercept to be 1, and the next column B, they are finding the x-intercept to be 11, and now they reach the conclusion that 11 is greater than 1. But you can skip all these and just draw the diagram and reach to the conclusion by visualizing the diagram. Just by observing the diagram, we can say that green line has greater intercept than yellow line.
So technically, the concept of visualization makes the life all the more easier in quant. That's what you need to do. Yeah. So guys, did you understand this particular technique now? You need to always, when you look at a question, visualize it in a much better way that will get you closer to the solution no matter what, compared to your theoretical approach. Because that's what GRE is looking for. They're looking for students who can look at all these shortcuts and not just always go for traditional format-based techniques, all right? So formula-based techniques. So this is what you'll be learning based on practice and proper feedbacks. Now that's great, says Lakshay. Got it, says Akil Singham. All right, so this is the 3 techniques, guys, that we've realized so far. The visualization technique in terms of how you're able to see the diagram is very, very important. And always go beyond the question. Understand what are the assumptions being made, how can you break them. That's very important, all right? Now, great, says Akshay. All right, so can we quickly jump to the verbal section, guys? A lot of students have always asked me about verbal. Let me remind you guys, he scored a 162 in verbal. Now, 162 is a dream score for a lot of students. Now, really a good approach, says Bhavana, but waiting for verbal, says Avinash. 162, yes, Lokesh, he scored a 162. All right. Let me quickly jump to the verbal preparations part. So for verbal, Ayush, so what did you begin with? What is that you did?
See, as I told you that my strength was vocabulary. So that is why I chose GRE section. And GRE is partly based on vocab. We have SEs and TCs sections here, like which comprises 10 out of 20. We have 20 questions in verbal, right? So 10 out of those 20 questions are from SE and TC. At least 10. It can go up to 12 also, I guess. So 12 out of 20, that's a huge percentage. So you can, if your vocab is strong, you can fetch marks out of these questions. Now what technique I used it, I was like when I was giving the practice exams initially, I I used to do the questions as it came. Like if it was RC question, I would do RC questions first, and then if the SE and TC questions came, I would do it later. But then I changed my technique, and I did SE. I started doing SE and TC questions first. So the area which I was strong in, I attended that questions first, and then I later moved on to the RC questions. So that really helped me, and I could find that I was able to solve SE and TC questions in 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So I was getting 18 to 20 minutes for the RC questions in the section which I was weaker. So that one technique I used, and first one is build on your vocab. Uh, use that GRE WordBot, GREH WordBot, and also other applications which provide you with good words. So you can do that, and make notes of the words with examples. Usage is very important if you want to get the SE and TC questions correct. Write down those words in your notebook, revise them weekly, if not daily. Though daily is not possible. It does not make any sense. And one more thing, there is this star mark option available in the GRE WordBot. Those words you are finding it harder, just star mark those words, and revise only those words after 1 week. So it will help you a lot. So this technique I basically use for SE and TC section.
All right. So basically the SE and TC section all judge down to the simple fact of vocabulary. When you have a strong vocabulary all the way completed for your sentence equivalence and text completion questions, and I believe the techniques that was used by our guest today is the WordBot application. Now, how many guys in the audience are actually aware of the WordBot application? Sabak Das says, yeah, me, says Lokesh. Not me, says Chirali, not aware. Wow, a lot of people, I'm a fan, says Lokesh. Thank you so much, Lokesh, for that. For the people who are not yet aware about the WordBot tool basically helps you learn words with picture. We have this new visual learning technique, because visual learning technique is found to be more, by data, it's proven that to be the most persuasive tool to use. Now, Tanmay says WordBot is fantastic. Thank you so much, Tanmay, for your valuable feedback. So moving on, let us at all that. Yes, GRE words is important and all that, but the next thing is your winning strategy for reading comprehension. It's most important thing that we are all here to listen, because yeah, WordBots, I learn about 2000 words for a 320 score, I go ahead and I finish it, that's fine. But reading comprehension is daunting for most of the students here, and I'm pretty sure they'll agree with me as well. So what did you do different for the reading comprehension? Can you share us a little about that?
Even I agree with you, Vishnu. It was daunting for me too. So I used to get most of the questions wrong when I was initially practicing or giving the practice tests. So what I did, that I used to analyze my mistakes. There is one Ask a Doubt option in the GREH portal, and it really helped me. It helped me a lot. So all the questions which I was getting wrong, I used to ask questions to SFAs, and the students have already asked questions in that Ask a Doubt portal, Ask a Doubt option. Students already asked those questions. So I used to read the answers given to them by SFAs and get my doubts clarified. So it really helped me a lot. So I would say that if GRE verbal practice test is say 1 hour long, at least spend at least 1 hour more in analyzing your mistakes. Read all the explanations given by SFAs. Go to that Ask a Doubt option and see what all answers are given. And moreover, many times I used to understand the passage, but I still used to get the questions wrong. That is why, because I was not understanding the question. Now the question brings twist to the verbal section. The passage is comparatively easy. Sometimes it is not very tough, but the questions they frame, that are twisted, and you need to understand questions more than you need to understand the paragraph itself. So like there was one question, I was reading a passage in GREH itself. It was all about some technology, and some advantages were given about the technology in the main paragraph. In all the 2 to 3 paragraphs above, only the advantages were told. But in the last line, that author has warned about this technology and has given some message that this technology can also can also cause harm to the environment or some other thing. I don't remember, but it can cause harm. Now the question came that what was the message out of the paragraph, and there were some options based on main idea, and only one option based on this last line. Now I was all involved in the main idea. I did not give much importance to that last line, because it was just one line. How can this one line make so much importance to that question? So, but when I studied the answer, when I analyzed it, because the question was important message, it was not asking about the inference or the main idea. It was asking about the message. So that the message was in that one line. So I would say that analyze the beginning lines and also the end lines, how the paragraph is ending. So analyze the question as well as the paragraph equally.
So Ayush, thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. It's been a huge pleasure having you here with us. Thank you so much for sharing all your tricks and techniques among the audience today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
So guys in the audience, did you have fun in today's seminar? So thank you, Ayush. A lot of thank you coming up right now, and I can see will wish all the best for your career as well. Thank you so much, Ayush, for being a great guest.